There's been a lot of terrifying news this week, so I decided to switch it up a little bit with a feel good story from small town America. Meet Jerry and Marge Selby, your average geriatric couple living in Everett, Michigan. Jerry and Marge raised 6 kids and ran a convenience store where Jerry handled the liquor and cigarettes and Marge kept books and made sandwiches. All in all, it was a very peaceful American living in a town about 1900. In 2003, Jerry came across a brochure for the new Michigan State Windfall Lottery. It was at that moment Jerry had sort of an ultra instinct Sherlock Holmes type of moment because he was able to calculate that in 3 minutes because thanks to his bachelor's in math from Western Michigan University that this lottery was somewhat special. See, this lottery had an interesting feature called roll down. And what it was is basically when it hits the $5 million jackpot and nobody wins the jackpot, all the reward tiers get rolled down. The formula is set in a way so that every time you bet mathematically, you're losing this amount. Where this formula gets kind of disrupted is if your payout grows, but your odds of winning and losing does not change. So your formula now look like this. So now that the math is in your favor rather than the houses, it's all about frequency and size. This mad lad was doing so well that he started getting his friends and family to start pooling their money into the new investment company, GS Investments. It's also kind of a smart tax move considering that in the US you get taxed for your lottery earnings. However, all good things come to an end, and after 2 years of doing this in 2005, the Michigan State Lottery finally realized that they were losing money and shut down the game. Jerry had a great 2 year run, and thankfully everybody learned from this situation and learned not to do it again except for Massachusetts, which made a game called Cash Windfall. For the next 6 years, Jerry and Marge developed a sort of routine to drive 900 miles to Massachusetts every time there was a roll down and buy hundreds of thousands of tickets at 2 local convenience stores. When it was all said and done, they grossed about $26 million with $18 million in losses, netting them a total of $8 million in profit before taxes. I guess the lesson in this is that math is important, and yes, it might take you a little longer than Jerry took to actually suss out the odds, but it doesn't mean you should put in that work and effort to actually, calculating everything out. It might lead you to finding some sort of mathematical irregularity that you can legally play in your own life. I glossed over some amazing details in the story, such as the state investigation and their rivals and stuff like that, but I didn't want to ruin it for you. It's actually turned into a movie streaming on Paramount Plus right now, starring Bryan Cranston. No, they didn't pay me to say it. This isn't sponsored whatsoever, so obviously I'd appreciate a sub or maybe a Patreon sub. If you've heard of this story or you watched the movie, come back, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of it. I generally like these little stories and felt that this is something I just wanted to talk about. Anyways, just remember, just because you're a day trader doesn't mean you have to trade every single day.